All right, so today we're doing a deep dive into managed WordPress hosting,
Go ahead.
specifically BigScoots.
Go
We're
ahead.
going beyond, all the marketing and the hype to see if
Yeah,
it lives up to the hype, especially for someone managing a network of websites.
right, because that's a whole other ballgame
Like
when
it's
you've got multiple websites.
yeah, instead of just one, brochure site,
Right.
we're talking about serious websites.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And we have someone from SEOrealestatewagon.com who actually is doing that
oh, cool.
with Big Scoots.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, so they've given us a bunch of material articles, marketing blurbs, the
Oh,
works
sweet,
to
fantastic.
dive into.
So they're out there saying blazing fast speeds.
Yes.
What's the secret sauce? Is that just marketing or is there something behind that?
Well, it seems like they use a powerful combination of SSD storage and then some pretty advanced caching techniques.
Okay.
So imagine this SSDs. It's like giving your website a supercharged hard drive. All right, so enabling lightning-fast data access.
Okay.
And then the caching is like having a VIP shortcut for frequently accessed data so your visitors don't have to wait.
Got it.
Plus, they fine-tune their servers specifically for WordPress, so
That makes sense.
everything runs smoothly.
Okay, so they're really optimizing for their target audience,
Exactly.
which makes sense.
Yeah.
And speaking of optimizing, our source raves about their security,
Yeah.
even crediting their backups for saving a couple of their websites.
Right, because security is paramount.
Oh, yeah.
And Big Scoots takes this multi-layered approach, so malware scanning firewalls to block those cyber attacks,
Okay.
and then something called DDoS mitigation.
DDoS mitigation. Okay, I've heard that term, but break that down for me.
So DDoS attack is like a digital traffic jam,
Okay.
where someone floods your website with bogus traffic,
Oh, wow.
overwhelming the servers, causing a crash.
Right.
Big Scoots DDoS mitigation acts like a traffic controller, identifying and redirecting that malicious traffic and keeping your site up and running.
So it's like a bodyguard for your website.
Basically, yes.
Okay, that's awesome because especially for someone running multiple websites, they can't afford to have downtime.
Exactly.
And that can really hurt you,
Oh, yeah.
especially if you're an e-commerce site or something like that.
Yeah, if you're relying on your website to generate income,
Yeah.
yeah, you need it to be up and running.
So speaking of support, what happens when things go sideways?
Right.
Because even with the best tech, a glitch or two is inevitable.
Of course, of course. And this is where Big Scoots sets itself apart
Okay.
with their 24/7 expert support.
Okay.
But the key is they don't just offer generic troubleshooting,
Right.
which a lot of these other companies do.
Right.
Our source really highlighted their personalized approach.
Okay. So it's not just a chatbot
No.
or some, outsourced support team.
Exactly.
It's actual humans who understand the platform.
Yes. And are invested in making sure that your website is successful.
Wow. Okay.
So they really take a proactive approach to understand your setup
Okay.
and anticipate potential issues before they even arise.
So it's like having an IT department
Almost like having an IT department.
at your fingertips.
Exactly.
Okay. Fantastic.
Yeah,
So that personal touch, I think, can go a really long way.
absolutely. Especially when you compare it to some of the bigger, more impersonal hosting companies out there.
Yeah.
You can sometimes feel like just a number.
Totally. Yeah. Just a cog in the machine.
Exactly.
Whereas this sounds like they're really invested in the success
Yeah, it seems like they're really invested in the success of their users.
of their users. Okay.
Yeah,
And I think that's fantastic.
yeah. Because at the end of the day, a successful user means a successful business for them, right?
Exactly.
So it's in their best interest to make sure that you're happy and your website's thriving.
Absolutely. All right. So we've talked about the good stuff, speed security support, but I want to know more about their pricing because that's often a deal breaker.
Absolutely. And that can be a major sticking point for a lot of people,
Yeah.
especially if you're on a tight budget or you're just starting out.
Right. Or if you have multiple websites,
Exactly.
that can really add up.
Yeah, so we need to see if Big Scoots is actually affordable.
Exactly. And how they stack up against the competition.
Right.
Speaking of the competition,
Right.
our source actually had experience with WP Engine and Kinsta,
Yeah, they did.
which are two of the other big names.
Big names in managed WordPress hosting.
Yeah. So what happened there?
Well, with WP Engine,
Okay.
they got hit with some pretty hefty overage charges
Oh, no.
after one of their sites had an unexpected traffic surge.
Ouch.
Yeah. And then with Kinsta,
Okay.
they were generally happy with the service,
Okay.
but they found the upgrade options to be really expensive.
Gotcha. So it sounds like BigScoots might offer a more predictable and budget-friendly solution.
It seems that way, especially when you factor in their tiered pricing plans.
Okay.
They've got the starter, the professional, and the business.
So let's break those down a little bit. For our
Sure.
listeners, who's each plan best for?
Okay, so the starter plan, that's a great entry point.
Okay.
For bloggers or anyone who's just starting out with a single website,
Okay.
provides all the essentials
Right.
at a very reasonable price.
Okay.
But our source actually recommends the professional plan for most users,
Okay.
particularly those juggling multiple sites or needing a bit more oomph in terms of resources.
So they're kind of like hitting that sweet spot.
Exactly, yeah, the sweet spot.
You get those economies of scale as you level up.
Right.
And then I'm guessing the business plan,
Yeah, that's for the big dog.
or for the big dogs play.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sites with high traffic volumes.
Okay.
E-commerce platforms.
Okay.
Anyone who needs top-tier resources and that extra layer of support.
So they're really segmenting the market there.
Yeah, they are, and it seems to be working well for them.
Now, did our source mention any downsides to BigScoots or anything they wish they had known before signing up?
Let me think. They didn't really point out any negatives,
Okay.
but they did offer some advice.
Okay.
For anyone shopping around for a hosting provider,
All right. What's the advice?
they said you need to ask these 3 crucial questions.
Okay. I'm all ears.
First, what level of customer support is provided, and is it available 24/7?
Okay. That's huge.
Yes, because things happen.
Oh, yeah. Websites don't run on a 9 to 5.
Exactly.
Okay. What's number 2?
Second, what security measures are in place to safeguard your website?
Okay.
Because like we said before, security is paramount.
Right. Because if your site goes down, you're losing money.
Exactly.
You're losing business.
Yep.
So security is number 2. Okay. What's the third question?
The third question is, how scalable are the hosting plans?
Okay.
What happens if your website traffic suddenly explodes?
Right.
You don't want to be caught off guard.
Right. You don't want to outgrow your hosting plan.
Exactly. You need to make sure that your hosting provider can grow with you.
And that they make it easy to scale up or even scale down
Yes,
if
exactly.
you need to.
Because flexibility is important.
Flexibility, that's a good point.
Yeah, you don't want to be locked into a contract
Right.
that you can't get out of.
Especially if your needs change.
Exactly.
Okay, so our source is clearly a very savvy website owner.
Oh, yeah, they've been around the block.
They've been through it. They're asking the right questions.
Yeah, they're not afraid to shop around.
And they're learning from their mistakes, which is huge.
Exactly.
But they also use BigScoots in a clever way
They do?
for their own business.
Right. So remember how we talked about how they manage multiple websites?
Yeah.
Well, they actually host some of their clients' websites
Oh, wow.
on their BigScoots server
Interesting.
for a fixed monthly fee.
So they're sort of like a mini hosting provider.
They kind of are, yeah.
That's a really interesting model.
It is, and it really highlights the flexibility
Yeah.
that BigScoots offer.
And their commitment to their users. So
Exactly.
they're kind of like a reseller almost.
Yeah, you could say that.
That's really interesting.
It is, and it makes you wonder, you know,
Yeah.
could this be a viable option for others out there
Right.
who are looking for a way to maybe offset some of their hosting costs?
Right. Or even start their own little side hustle.
Exactly. Maybe you've got a knack for this stuff,
Yeah.
and you've got some friends or colleagues who need a website.
Right.
Why not host them on your BigScoots server
There you go.
for a little bit of money?
Yeah. Make a little extra cash on the side.
Exactly.
That's really thinking outside the box.
It is, and it just shows, the power of
Yeah.
finding a good hosting provider.
Yeah. One that's flexible
Yeah.
and offers the features that you need.
Exactly.
And it sounds like BigScoots really checks a lot of boxes.
They do, especially for anyone in that WordPress ecosystem.
Especially for WordPress users. Okay.
Yeah, because they're so tailored to that platform.
They really are.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fascinating.
It has.
I've learned a lot about BigScoots.
Me too.
I was kind of on the fence about them before
Yeah.
we started this deep dive, but I'm feeling a lot more confident.
Yeah, that seems like they're a solid choice.
They seem like a solid choice.
Yeah.
And I love that pricing model, that tiered approach.
It makes it accessible
Yes.
to a wider range of
Yep,
users.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, huge thanks to our source over at SEOrealestatewagon.com for
Yeah.
sharing their experience and expertise.
Yes. Thank you so much for the insights.
And that really clever little side hustle they've got going.
Yeah. That's pretty ingenious.
It is. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
And to our listeners, if you're looking for a managed WordPress hosting solution that delivers on speed, security, and support,
Yes.
BigScoots is definitely worth checking out.
Absolutely. Give them a look.
All right, until next time, happy hosting.
Happy hosting.